guys, it's Anna. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a little bit different. For starters, I'm in my car. I'm on my way home to see my kids. I haven't seen my kids in probably a week and a half, maybe more. So I'm very happy. I don't even know where to start this video, but I apologize for any dust flying around or for the outside noise or how this is going to record and my steering wheel. But here we go. So as you can tell by the name of the video, by the title, I tested positive for COVID-19 and it's been a real nightmare. I'm a little foggy with the timeline, but I just wanted to kind of share with you guys my own experience. I have quite a few people that I already, that I know who have tested positive for COVID-19, and a lot of them seem to have similar symptoms. Some actually have very different symptoms, some have no symptoms at all. So it's just very different, and just a disclaimer, this was my experience. I'll also bring in my mom into this experience just a little bit because she has also tested positive for COVID-19, and we were kind of like forced to stay, I shouldn't say forced, but we stayed together in her house during this time. So where do I begin? I think it was probably March, I want to say 25th. I had a stressful night, and then the next day I woke up and I had a really bad headache. I typically get sinus infections, so this headache was kind of like right here. It was shooting into my eyes, into my nose, and it was really painful. And I don't know, I was taking Excedrin, probably way more than I needed to. It wasn't doing anything. I wasn't feeling better. This continued for a couple of days. And then I decided to go to urgent care because, you know, things were getting worse with COVID-19. People were being, you know, diagnosed and getting sick. So I figured, you know what, before shit hits the fan, let me go. So I went and I saw one of the doctors there, and she kind of checked me out. She knows that I have a history of sinus infections, and I typically will get them when I have allergies, but I didn't have allergies at this point yet. I didn't have, you know, a runny nose. I didn't have post-nasal drip. She decided to write me a prescription for antibiotics, and she sent me home. So I, for some reason, decided not to take the antibiotics, and I typically will because my allergies, when they hit me really hard, and I'm just desperate for relief. So I kind of set them aside, and I was just like, you know what, I don't know, my nose is not running, I don't have any other symptoms, it's just this headache, and it's just like shooting just down my nose and into my eye. It was just really bad. Then, as you know, a day went by, 2 days, I started developing kind of like hot flashes, and like chills and like light sweating just out of nowhere. Like it would just like hit you like a ton of bricks, and overnight. And I would constantly check my temperature, and my temperatures were, you know, everything was fine. You know, it was normal temperature, no fever, nothing. So I was starting to get a little bit concerned, but I didn't know what was happening, and I really didn't think much of COVID-19 and is it possible that I have it. And then I believe it was March 30th when it was the evening time already, and that whole day I was in bed, my body was hurting. Oh my goodness, it literally felt like something was like ripping me apart, like all my joints, my muscles, everything was hurting so much. And I started to get really, really cold, and I was having chills, and my body was shaking, and I couldn't get warm. I was in bed under, like, I don't know, 3 blankets and pajamas and sweaters. Because I was so cold, I figured in my mind that probably the only place where I can warm up, because I was really cold, would probably be the bathtub. So I bumped up the house temperature to like 75, and I closed the door to the bathroom, so it was nice and warm, and I was still cold. And when I came out, I was shivering. It was really bad. So at some point, probably like an hour later after my bath, I took my temperature, and I think I was at 101 or maybe 102. I can't remember, but it was up there. It was probably 102, because I think when I went to urgent care, they checked my temperature and it was at 101. So anyway, so that night, that it was evening, it was like 6 o'clock in the evening, I think on the 30th, I decided that let's just go to urgent care, because at this point, now that my fever finally broke and it kicked in, and I was having, chills, and I was cold, and my body was shaking, and I was experiencing, this awful body pain, everywhere. Everything hurt, like between my fingers hurt, like my ears, like everything hurt. It was really, really bad. So we go to the urgent care, and I don't know, the doctor there at that point in time wasn't, my face is so red, I'm hot. The doctor wasn't all that, but he said, we don't have COVID-19 tests available, we don't have the flu test available, and we don't have strep throat available, the test. So he kind of looked at me, my pulse was racing, my pulse was, I think, like over 156, my temperature was at 101, my blood pressure was also high, my oxygen levels were a little bit lower than normal, but they were, still fine. And he was like, well, you're probably, your body is fighting something. And he was like, there's not much I can do. He was like, you either have the flu or you have the coronavirus. He's like, I don't like to throw it out there, but it's possible. He was like, there's no magic pill. So I suggest that you go home and isolate yourself, and, plenty of fluids, take Tylenol to keep the fever down, and kind of like, that's it. So I went home, and that was it. Like, I went home, and that night was awful, shaking. I think I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I went to take a hot shower because I was so cold. I was still taking, even though I think at that point he did tell me I could still take Advil and Tylenol, for the stubborn fever. So I think I took like 1,000 milligrams of Advil, and it was not doing anything. It was not helping me with the fever. It was not helping me with the body aches. It was just awful. And I remember as cold as I was in my bed, I didn't even want to get out of bed, because I knew it was going to be that much colder, walking from my bed to the kitchen to get the medicine, or to get water, or to even start the shower. So that kind of continued for a couple of days. So now my mom, I'm only going to bring her up a little bit. So she was already sick. She was experiencing pretty much the same symptoms as me, but she was probably I would say about 2.5 days ahead of me. So she already, whatever I was experiencing, she has been experiencing already. So she's already, she's at home, she's not working. And I remember it was the 2nd of April, and I was chatting with some of my friends, and they were like, you really should get tested. And I'm like, well, I went, and they didn't have anything available. And then one of my friends says, her friend thought she had the coronavirus, so she went to this urgent care, and she was able to get tested. So the girls, my friends, were kind enough. They took my information, and they actually made me an appointment for the following morning, which was April 3rd, to an urgent care. This particular urgent care, typically it's walk-in, but at this point in time, you have to wait in your car, kind of check in, wait in your car, and wait for them to call you, and then you go inside. So they made me an appointment, and I was like, you know what? While you're making me an appointment, can you please make an appointment for my mom? So they did, and so they made an appointment for her for the afternoon. So I figured I'm gonna go and get checked in the morning, and then I'm gonna go get my mom and get her checked. So I go, and it took a little bit of time, and it was kind of annoying. You know, you had to wait in the car. They called you to take your co-payment over the phone. I mean, I get it, and it was nice, you know, at the same time, because you weren't exposed to other people. So I went in, the doctor listened to me right away, and he was like, you know, your lungs are not working at the full capacity. He's like, you're not taking in a full breath. He's like, you know what, let's just do an x-ray. And I don't know, for some reason in my mind, I'm like, oh my goodness, he's gonna send me somewhere else to take an x-ray. I'm like, I don't want to do that. And he's like, we have an x-ray right there. He's like, let's just do an x-ray and let's see what's happening. So he takes an x-ray. I come back, I get dressed, and he comes in and he's like, you have pneumonia. He's like, what looks like it's starting. He's like, on your right lung and then underneath your heart or something like that. He said around the heart area. He's like, so I'm gonna give you a Z-Pack and a Buterol, a pump, the inhaler. And I was like, okay. He was like, are you concerned about corona? And I'm like, I think I am. I'm like, I couldn't get tested for anything, and I know that you guys have a test, so I wanted to see if I can get tested. And he's like, oh, well, did you make an appointment? And I'm like, well, I made an appointment here. And he was like, to get tested, it's a completely different appointment. I'm like, okay. He's like, and it's a Friday, so you have to, come back on Monday. So he got me an appointment. And I asked him myself, I'm like, do you think I have the virus? And he was like, I think so. He's like, I think you do. He was like, but I also have patients who come in complaining of, upset stomach, nausea, diarrhea. He was like, and they test positive for COVID-19. He was like, so I think so. He's like, let's just get you tested. I'm like, okay. So I come out, and then I'm like, because I know I'm going to bring my mom, and I figured let me get her a test as well. And this particular urgent care, they said that they actually don't test people who are over age of 65 and who are under 16 years of age. And the fact that my mom is a healthcare worker, none of that mattered. They were like, she's too old and we won't test her. And we don't test more than one person from a household. And I was like, well, we're staying together now. We're going to be staying together now. I'm like, but we don't live together, obviously. And she was just like, nope, there's just not enough tests available, so we won't test her. I'm like, all right, fine. Sorry, I had to take a little break to drink some water, and I put the AC on. It's so hot. I don't want to open the windows because it's so noisy and it's windy. I don't know how it's gonna affect the sound. Anyways, so my mom actually kind of got upset by that news. She was like, well, that's not fair. How are they discriminating? Blah blah blah. I'm a healthcare worker. And I'm like, Mom, I get it. I have no idea what's happening. Maybe I can register us for the hotline. There is also here in New York City a corona hotline, and you call and you tell them the symptoms, and they register you. And at that point, I didn't know how long it would take for them to call us, but it actually took a week. But I'll get to that in a second. So we get my mom checked. Long story short, she has double pneumonia. Her oxygen levels are low, and she when they took the x-ray, they said right away, they were like, the pneumonia that she is presenting in the x-ray, they've only seen it caused by COVID-19. So they were like, she doesn't even need to get tested. It's right here. She is, that's it. Anyways, Mom was really bad. I think I broke down in the office because they wanted to like send her to the hospital at first due to her oxygen levels being low. But anyways, so mom was very sick. It was very tough. It was very hard. It was bad. So she was put on 4 different antibiotics and breathing treatments. I was put on the 1 antibiotic and a butyrol pump. I had to bring my mom back the next day for the doctors to check her oxygen levels and to, see how her lungs are doing. And I also got checked for the 2nd time as well. So mom's oxygen levels were lower than normal, but they were stable. And the doctor said, all considering, he was like, this is, I'm okay with this. So I got checked, and because now the fever was gone for me and my mom by this point. Now this is like April 4th. The fevers were gone, but the weakness, the constant wanting for resting and sleeping, not eating much, not eating really at all, not drinking. And then I started feeling like I really couldn't take a deep breath, and I think that's when I started freaking out, and just kind of like my anxiety was like taking over me, even though my anxiety is usually like under control and it's not a big deal. But just the fact, like, I've never had any issues with my lungs ever, and I think I finally understood when people say it feels like you have an elephant sitting on your chest or you're breathing through a straw. That's what I felt like. I felt like I couldn't take a deep breath. It was just, my heart was constantly racing. When I went to the pharmacy, like, to pick up a bag of medicine and vitamins and Tylenol that the doctors called in, when I tell you, it was so hard and so challenging to carry like a bag from Walgreens with like 3 prescriptions in it. So I constantly had to use the pump to open up my lungs to help me breathe. And it felt like the only time I felt some relief was when I was in bed, when I wasn't moving. So when I got checked for the 2nd time, which was August. I don't know why I went August. I don't even know like the day of the week it was, month, week, day. It was crazy. But April 4th, I got checked again, and now, so April 3rd, I had an x-ray, and my pneumonia was on my right side at the bottom near my heart. And when they checked me the following day, now I had double pneumonia that was moving up. And so the doctor put me on another antibiotic, I forgot the name, and then gave me another Z-Pack to take once I finished the original one. And he also gave me another inhaler. And that was that. So then for the next couple of days, we were at mom's. I haven't seen my kids, and we were pretty much home. Eating was tough. Eating was challenging. Drinking. I had my mom pretty much drink like Pedialyte. Try to get some vitamins into her. She was, like I said, on 4 different antibiotics. She had to do breathing treatments 4 to 6 times a day. The same for me. We were pretty much living off of tea, Pedialyte, crackers, applesauce, and chicken broth, fresh chicken broth for like, I don't know, 10 days. And as much as sick as I was, I think, the breathing, once the fever and the body aches finished, then the breathing issues kicked in for me. And I'm happy that I didn't experience all of that at once. But I think because I was taking care of my mom, you know, constantly making sure, because she was pretty much like bed rest, you know, making sure she has her medication, and she took, I don't know what's flying over here. Sorry, my car is so dusty, it's been standing. That I wasn't really paying attention, you know, how I was feeling, only when I really like even right now I'm like talking a lot. I get a little bit like a little pain in my chest. And yeah, so those first couple of the first couple of days when the breathing issues started, it was tough. Like I didn't even want to talk, because talking and breathing at the same time seemed impossible, and it was very exhausting and very uncomfortable. So good news, I got my both test results from both places. We ended up going and getting tested from the government facilities, from the hotline. That test took 72 hours for me, and I think probably like 5 days for my mom to come back. So they're both positive. And then from the other place, also positive. And my mom's x-rays, you know, they said that it was positive. We were back at the doctor's, at the urgent care, because our regular doctor is closed. So we were back yesterday. They said clinically I look good. My numbers, everything is good. My lungs sound good. But I have to take one more course of antibiotics, and I got another pump with some different medication. So I have to do that. My mom, again, they said clinically she's good, but they didn't do an x-ray for me. Her doctor, because we ended up getting 2 different doctors, her doctor took an x-ray, and he said that she still has pneumonia present. So he put her on another course of antibiotics. He said that, you know, she has to do a lot of breathing treatments. She has to do the breathing exercises, you know, to breathe. Take a deep breath, hold the breath for 10 seconds, and then like cough it out. Lots of fluids, lots of vitamins. He said vitamin C, like astronomical doses of vitamin C. And you know, the weakness and the tiredness and stuff like that, he said it's all still because of pneumonia. And of course, you know, due to my mom's age, he's like, it's expected that, you know, you're still gonna feel like that for probably a few more weeks. So I got cleared to go home yesterday. The doctor said, you know, he was a funny old man, and he was like, congratulations. He was like, you made it, you lived through it, which I thought, you know, was funny now, but when I was living through it, it wasn't funny. But he said, you know, you're good, because I kept telling him, I'm like, you know, I don't mind staying with my mom, but I also miss my kids so much. And he was like, you know, you're good to go home. He was like, you know, you're fine, your days are over, you know, the 14-day mark. And so I'm going home. I just went to Target to pick up some things for my kids, because I miss them so much. Some little toys and stuff like that. And that's it. So that's what's been happening. So it kind of, you know, we kind of disappeared, and that's what's been happening. I wanted to make this video short, but I think it's gonna probably be like a 15-minute video, if not longer. I'm sorry. Again, this was definitely an experience that I'll never forget. I can honestly say I've never been so sick in my life, especially when it came to the breathing, the difficulty with breathing, and the body aches, and the absolute stubborn fever that just would not budge, would not go down for those like 4 days, 5 days. I don't think I've ever seen my mom this sick, so I haven't been this scared in a really, really long time. So I'm just glad that both of us are, you know, on the right track to completely heal from this. I don't know what the future is gonna hold for people who did test positive for COVID-19. The doctor said that, you know, if the mutation doesn't change much, if it comes back, we should be okay. We might not even feel anything. But of course, I worry about my kids. I don't know, you know, and I was home those first couple of days, probably, you know, the first week of symptoms that, you know, were coming on. And I don't know, you know, I hope, you know, I keep asking my husband, like, are they sick? You know, do they have fevers? Do they have stomach aches? Do they have, you know, upset stomach, nausea, headaches? And, you know, he's been saying, you know, knock on wood, that they've been fine and he's been fine. And so I don't know, but I'm gonna end this video here. I don't want to drag it out again. This is just, you know, it's our experience. Everyone has a very different experience, and everybody has a different course of treatment. I'm definitely, you know, thankful for the doctors that saw us, for the doctors that are working there, and nurses and front desk people, and everyone who's available to help, and everyone who's in the pharmacy. It's just a humongous, you know, thanks to all of them for taking care of everyone who's affected by COVID-19. All right, guys. I can't wait to go home. I'm literally not too far away from my house. I just want to go home and see my babies and hug them and have the biggest sleepover in my bed today. And of course I miss my dog too, my old guy Max. So hopefully I'll get this. Today is Wednesday, April 15th. Yes. So I'm gonna try to get this video up today, maybe later into the evening, into the night. If not, most likely tomorrow. So stay healthy, guys. Be safe. Wear your masks. I have my masks. I'm not going anywhere. Just wanted to go to Target and get a few things for my kids, but I have my mask. I have gloves in my bag. I have the disinfecting wipes. Alright, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you so much for your love and support. And we're happy to be back. And hopefully things will start to go back to normal soon. And can't wait to make more Disney related videos. And we have a few, well, I have a few that I have to record, but hopefully this coming week. But that's about it. Alright, guys, thank you so much for watching again. Take care, and subscribe if you haven't. This is a very different video, like I said, but typically it's all Disney related, but this is kind of just like a life update in this crazy times that we're living in. Okay, for the last time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.